Flooding is everywhere, even in the Netherlands. In the 1950s, a huge flooding event occurred here in the Netherlands, caused by heavy storms, resulting in a great adverse impact to the people. Almost 2,000 people died, about 70,000 were evacuated, and almost 200,000 hectares of farmland was devastated by the salt water. The Dutch government decided that these kind of events should never happen again, and so developed a series of construction projects known as the Delta Works to fight against flooding events. One of these projects is the Haringvlietsdam. The dam was built in 1970 and completely prevented tidal movement and intrusion of seawater in the last part of the river, the Rhine, significantly increasing the safety and agricultural productivity of the area. Unfortunately, this also created another problem. The Haringvliet Delta was an important migratory passage for fish such as salmon and sturgeon to enter the Rhine, as well as for a variety of birds using the area as feeding grounds. The construction of the dam created a barrier between the river and the sea, heavily impacting the ecology of the region by eliminating the brackish water environment, stopping the passage of the fish, decreasing productivity of the area, and reducing the birds' habitat. The Haringvliet slowly changed into a freshwater basin and a freshwater source for regional agriculture and water companies.
Then, in the 1990s, the Dutch national government began to investigate the possibilities of restoring the estuarine dynamics by changing the management of the Haringvliet sluices. Thanks to the cooperation of the following stakeholders, in 2018 the government decided to partially open the sluices for short periods of time in order to increase biodiversity and restore the brackish condition of the delta. The choice of opening the sluices to re-establish the original ecosystem is rather recent, and although monitoring of species is happening, there's not enough ecological data in the literature to draw a conclusion on whether the plan is working or not.
In order to cope with these disputes, several solutions have been identified, such as changing the crops into more salt-tolerant ones, try to diversify sources of income, for instance from farming to tourism and leisure activities, and monetary compensation and relocation of farmers. The partial opening of the sluice has been implemented, but we still don't know if it is enough for a successful restoration of the brackish water environment and the comeback of migratory species. In case it is not, we advise for a larger opening of the sluices. This would come at an increased risk of flooding, the primary reason for the building of the dam itself. To reduce this risk, we offer a solution that would potentially dampen the effect of a wider opening and benefit the Haringvliet ecosystem. A coastal buffer zone could be created by building a parallel dike. This is a zone with a predominantly brackish water, which offers coastal protection and a high level of biodiversity. Because of this secondary dike, the sluice could stay open for a longer period of time, or be open more often. The buffer zone and increasingly brackish water would bring new potential for farmers to start producing products like the common glasswort, the Pacific oyster, or even seaweed. The buffer zone will help restore the salinity gradient used to characterize this area of the delta, where fresh water from the river used to mix with the one from the sea. This will serve as a refuge area for birds that forage and nest in this type of environment, and will contribute to the restoration of the terrestrial flora and fauna. Oyster reefs could also be established in front of the additional linear dike to protect it against erosion and purify the water. The reef could also be used for oyster foraging by humans. It's clear that the solution we propose can maintain the protective effect of the Haringvliet dam while reducing its impact on the local ecosystem.
This story has a lesson to learn for all of us. In terms of governance aspect, Haringvlietsdam is a good example for various stakeholder collaborations to reduce the impact of flooding and minimize the possible frictions among the stakeholders. But then, building a hard structure such as a dam always brings a negative side impact due to the hydro-oceanographic change. In this sense, building with nature became a renaissance to enable nature to be part of the solution, to reopen the sluice, allowing the water flow, and ultimately aims for the migratory fish to return back.